Hey, what's up, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a video game review. And for this review, we're going to be taking a look at Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze for the Nintendo Switch, originally released on the Nintendo Wii U. And if you are interested in any gameplay footage of me playing the game, I'll have a link in the description below, though. For me, I remember playing Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze when it came out back in 2014. I've been a big fan of the I won't say big fan, but a fan of the Donkey Kong Country series since the days of the Super Nintendo, though. So when they brought the series back on the Wii back in 2010, it was like an exciting moment. I remember seeing the trailer at E3 2010. I was like really excited, like, yeah, they brought the series back. Tropical Freeze, on the other hand, suffered from a bad case of marketing or a bad case of messaging as well. While the game is not terrible by any chance, I'll get to my review on that part though, it was basically their messaging on it though. Some of it was that the Wii U, unfortunately, was not going to be the success Nintendo had hoped for. Other parts was when they talked about how Retro Studio was working on a game they always wanted to work on. And when they showed the game off, it turned out to be another Donkey Kong Country game, and that basically upsetted some people because they felt like they were duped or lied to or anything like that. Despite that, though, the game was fun. It was a classic 2D platform that Nintendo is known for, all that stuff, and it turned out to be a very fun game. It just unfortunately fell in the case of a bad messaging, and it was released on a system that unfortunately was going downhill and all. Fast forward to 2018 now, and Nintendo has sort of bounced back thanks to the success of the Nintendo Switch, and lately we have been seeing some ports of Wii U games coming on the Switch and basically getting a second chance, reaching out to an audience that may have skipped out on the Wii U. And in this case though, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze is one of those games as well. So, does the game still hold up today though? In my opinion, yes it does. With some pros and cons. Why don't we get started with the pros? So first, let me get the pros. Let me get my notes out. All right, we'll start off first with the pros, though. Where is it? Okay. First one we'll start off with the graphics, though. This is one of the game's strongest point. The visuals in the game look nice, and on top of that, the world behind it, even though it's a 2D game, looks alive and so forth. I mean, compare that to say like the new Super Mario Brothers series, like New Super Mario Brothers, New Super Mario Bros. 2, WIIU, which again aren't bad games by any chance, and visually they look nice, but Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze and Return put those games in terms of visuals to shame. Everything looks alive and so forth. It looks like a living, breathing world, even though it's a 2D game. It has an art style. It's not the same handmade art style like say Rayman Legends or Rayman Origins is, but it still looks nice. It's a 2D platform with a 3D look and so forth. So in terms of visuals though, that's definitely a plus on that one. The next one I want to talk about is the game is challenging and fun. This is one of those games that will push your as far as 2D platforming go, this game will challenge you in terms of timing your jumps, to looking for little secrets and all that stuff. And the game does have a difficult spike, which to me is a good thing. So it's both challenging and fun. And as a new addition to it though, they added a funky mode, which while might turn some people off in terms of it being an easy mode, it's a nice addition to have, especially for those who might have had some issues with the Wii U version and still want to have an easy mode and still enjoy the game. You could do that with funky mode to be exact. So it's a nice addition to have funky modes or an easy mode or anything like that. But overall, the game can be challenging and fun. The next thing I do want to talk about is the controls, and the game controls basically well. It's your classic 2D platformer and so forth, where you move your character across like a linear level and all that. But one thing I did notice is that some of the controls are a little bit improved from basically the Wii U version, at least as far as I'm aware of. One of those is the swimming levels, which while they can still be frustrated at times, considering that unlike, say, the classic Mario levels, where you have unlimited air to breathe underwater, here you do have like an air meter, and if that goes down, you lose a heart and so forth. So you gotta keep an eye out on that. But the controls in the swimming level, at least in the Switch version, I found to be better than it was in the Wii U version. Mostly because with the Wii U version, though, you had to choose between either using the control pad or the analog stick. You couldn't use one of them at a time, which was a little bit of a hassle because if you went into like a swimming level, you had to switch between both of them, and it just felt a little awkward, at least as far as I can remember, though. So, but in the Switch version, you can play the game using the analog stick or the control pad. So basically, that does help. There's no like you have to choose between one or the other. The only change you can make is in terms of doing either when it comes to grabbing a barrel or doing Donkey Kong's ground pound, where you could assign that to the, I think, the ZL, the ZR, or to the X and Y button. So that's, in other words, they have the normal or the alternative control thing. But overall, control-wise, the controls are very solid in this game. And last but not least, though, is the music. Hats off to David Wise, though, who is known to create some really interesting and memorial tunes in this game. And some of my favorite ones are like Sawmill Thrill, Scorching Torch, I meant to say, and Irate 8. I mean, the music in the game, and this may sound cheesy to some people, gives off a bit of a Peter Gabriel / Phil Collins / Genesis vibe to it, and I definitely liked how they set the music up, especially with some of those levels, though. I mean, I love the music in this game. I wish that Nintendo would release a soundtrack, at least for me to download off of iTunes. That would be nice if they could do that. But overall, music in the game is really good, and kudos to David Wise. He still creates great music for this game, and great music for video games in general. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to get to part 2, the cons, and as a bonus part of part 2, I'm going to give you my thoughts on the Solo, the Star Wars movie that I saw on Saturday, and I'll give you my thoughts on the Thundercats that was announced from Cartoon Network, or the newest Thundercats out there. So, we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of our video review of Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze for the Nintendo Switch. So now that I gave you my pros, why don't I give you my cons? And for me, there are a couple of cons I like to point out in terms of what's in Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. The first one I do want to point out is the difficulty. Now, as I said in the pros, I thought the game was fun and challenging, and I still think it is, though. That said, there are times when the game can enter into, sometimes get a bit frustrated at times, and some of the difficulty spike might turn some people off. Even if you played in funky mode, there are times where some levels might be still a little bit too difficult in a way. Some of it, like I said, ranging from timing your jumps and all, to basically, you know, keeping an eye, watch out that you don't fall into any pitfalls, to anything like that, to some of the swimming levels where you have an oxygen meter, we gotta keep an eye out on that one as well. So the game is challenging. I still stand behind that, though, but its difficult spike might turn some people off on it, though. I mean, funky mode or Funky Kong mode helps a little bit, though, but it is still a very challenging game, so it is worth pointing that out. And if you're not down with difficult games, whether it was like the new Super Mario Brothers, to like to Donkey Kong Country Returns, or to like Rayman Legends and Origins, which can be difficult 2D platformers, though, then you probably are not going to like Tropical Freeze, because it's the same thing as well. For me, I like the challenge, the challenge and the difficulty spike in Tropical Freeze, but I can understand it can be a turnoff to some people. Alright, the next con I do want to talk about is Dixie Kong. Now, I got nothing wrong with using Dixie Kong. She becomes a very helpful ally in the game as well, along with Diddy and Cranky, though, and each have their own attributes. For Diddy, though, he has like a little rocket pack that can help sort of like make you cross certain gaps. Dixie does something similar to Diddy as well, but instead she also can give you, sort of lift you up a little bit. Maybe you could reach like higher platforms than you can with Diddy. And Cranky comes in handy with his cane, which is kind of similar to the cane that Scrooge McDuck used in the classic DuckTales games for the NES, which was later remade as DuckTales Remaster for, I think, the PS3, 360, and Wii U by WayForward, I think a couple years back, where you can basically, he could bounce off enemies with spikes or grounds with spikes, though. So all three Kongs have their attribute. That said, it does feel like you'll be finding yourself using Dixie Kong a lot more than you will with the other Kongs, though, which is a little bit unfortunate, though. I mean, there are some levels where some of the other Kongs can be useful, especially with Cranky Kong, but I found myself using Dixie Kong a lot in the game, and it kind of treats the other Kongs as like an afterthought, unfortunately. So all three are useful, but I found myself using Dixie Kong a lot, and you may end up seeing yourself using Dixie Kong a lot. The next thing I want to talk about is the control scheme, and I do want to say, as I said earlier, the controls are solid in the game, and that's nice, and I really like that, though. But at the same time, I don't think this is a con in any way. It would have been nice if they added the control scheme from the Donkey Kong Country games from the Super NES era, though. I mean, I remember playing those and thought the controls were solid on that one, though. Not that the controls for Tropical Freeze or Donkey Kong Country Returns were bad, although I prefer the Tropical Freeze one. It's just that it would have been nice to see the controls from the Super Nintendo era, like for example holding down, pushing the Y button for Donkey Kong to do his ground pound, or pushing Y for him to do the roll. It just seemed a little awkward when you're using the alternative control scheme, though. It doesn't make the game unplayable. It just, having grown up playing the Super Nintendo Donkey Kong Country games and the Donkey Kong Land games on the Game Boy era, though, it would have been nice to have the control scheme from the Super NES era. And last but not least, though, is the price point, though. It is worth pointing out that I believe this is a full retail $60, and while some people may not like that, thinking that being this is a port of a game from 2014, they thought a lot of people feel like that should have been maybe they should lower the price. And to some degree, yeah, I mean, the only new mode I've seen so far is really funky mode, and that's pretty much it. There's nothing really else added into it, though. So the $60 price tag may not sit well for some people. Overall, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze is a fantastic 2D platform, in my opinion. It's fun, it's challenging, and the visuals of the game look really great. It was a fun game when I played it in 2014, and it's still a fun game today, though. Here's the hope being that we'll see more Donkey Kong games on the Nintendo Switch. Between this and the announcement of the Donkey Kong showing up in Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle, I may have said this before and I'll say it again, I can't help but feel that it gives the impression that Nintendo is preparing to announce a brand new Donkey Kong game for the Nintendo Switch. And if that happens, and fingers crossed that I would hope that it does happen, it'll be interesting if they take the 2D route or take another shot at the 3D route after what happened with Donkey Kong 64. So hopefully we'll wait and see, but until then, if you're looking for a fun 2D platform to play, though, I would say give Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze a shot. I enjoyed it, though, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Okay, before we end this video, I do want to talk about Two things. First off, we'll start off with my thoughts on the movie Solo, a Star Wars film. Now, I saw that movie, and that movie got sort of a bit of a controversy surrounding it, ranging from the original directors being fired, to having Ron Howard step in, to a lot of people pulling the SJW and feminazi, which I don't pay attention to that crap, because if you're playing that card, then there is something seriously wrong with your life, to be exact. But in any case, though, I did see the movie, and I have to say, it's not as bad as a lot of people say it is, though. There are some good moments, though. I will say that the actor playing the young Han Solo, did a good job. It's not a great job, but he did a good job. It was nice to see Chewie again, seeing Chewbacca, though, and there were certain lines, like saying the thing speed through like the Kessel. I forgot what the word was. It was mentioned in the New Hope, though, and you kind of see that as well. But it was an interesting story. It did have a little bit of a Western feel to it as well. So it was a okay movie. As far as an anthology goes, I still think Rogue One was probably the better anthology, at least in my opinion, though. But I can applaud them for doing something different. This is one where it's not the Imperials versus the Empire. Not the Imperials versus the Rebel Alliance. I got those two mixed up together. So I applaud them for doing something different, though. And it would be interesting to see if they do any more anthologies. Maybe one on Boba Fett, which I'm hearing they're doing that one as well. So overall, for me, though, it was an okay movie. It wasn't a terrible movie, in my opinion, but I would say I thought Rogue One was a better movie than Solo, a Star Wars anthology, though. So if you're going to see it, if you're going to see Star Wars anthology, Star Wars or Solo, a Star Wars movie, I say go matinee for this one. Just go matinee. This is not one of those. I just don't think it's worth seeing it in IMAX. Only Avengers Infinity War is the only movie I would recommend to see that one in IMAX. And last but not least, I do want to give my thoughts on Thundercats, which I'm sure probably you all are aware. You probably heard that Cartoon Network has announced a Thundercats TV show for Cartoon Network. And well, the reaction has not been very good. In fact, the announcement trailer has gotten more downvotes than ever. Now, I did see the footage and all that stuff, and I have to say, without trying to pull a full fanboyism or anything like that, based on what I've seen so far, based on the trailer or the announcement trailer that they showed, if this was an episode of Steve Universe where they were doing a parody of Thundercats, though, then I could let this one slip. I could see, okay, you're going to poke fun at Thundercats, though. All right, that's fine. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that or anything like that. But doing a full TV show of it, it just looks, to me, it just looks bad. I'm sorry, but the 2011 Thundercats one was better. That one had more of an Avatar/anime feel to it than this one does. Although there are complaints that show was heavily praised, but nobody watched it or anything like that. So a little disappointed that one only lasted one season, though. So it just feels, this one just doesn't interest me or anything. I'm not impressed with it. I'll be honest with you. I'm not the hugest Thundercats fan. I was more of a fan of Ninja Turtles and Ghostbusters back in the day. So this one doesn't interest me as much, though. But still, I just don't see any reason to watch this one. I'd rather go watch the 2011 one over this one, to be exact. Who knows? Maybe it will have an audience, though. Maybe it will do well, because the old saying, any publicity is good publicity, and that's possible, though. But for me, I'm not interested. This one just doesn't look that impressive at all. Again, if they did a parody episode, of Steve Universe, Steve Universe does a parody episode of Thundercats, I can understand that. This one, no. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to go full fanboy or anything like that. I'm just not impressed with it. But we'll have to wait and see. Maybe it has an audience for this one, though. But then again, outside of a couple shows, I just feel Cartoon Network isn't as good as it used to be back in the day. So, but who knows? We'll see how well this one does when it finally premieres, but right now, I'm not impressed with it, and obviously based on the likes and dislikes for that video, not a lot of people are. Certainly not. Okay, this concludes this video game review of Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze for the Nintendo Switch, and my thoughts on the Solo Star Wars film and the new Thundercats TV show. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze? Is it worth a $60 purchase though? Is the game as fun as it was when it was released back in 2014 as it is right now in 2018 though? Have you decided to pick it up for the Nintendo Switch? Do you like the game? Do you hate the game? What are your thoughts about Solo's Star Wars film? Do you think the movie is actually good? Do you think it's terrible? Do you think people are right to criticize it, or do you think the criticism is sort of blown way out of proportion? And what are your thoughts about Cartoon Network announcing a new Thundercats TV show? Do you like the art style and the direction they are going with the show? Do you hate it? Do you think this is a smart move they're doing? Do you don't think it's a smart move? Do you think the people who are upset about this are right about it, or do you think they're blowing it way out of proportion? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off on the comment section below. Let me know what you think. I hope you hit that like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to. And feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You could do it through PayPal me or Patreon. Links will be in the description of this video. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that will be soon. Till then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good evening then. Bye!